Hello everybody, this is Llodg, and today I wanted to talk about my top 5 favorite Star Wars games. Now, I've talked about Star Wars games a lot on my channel. I've even done a tier list 2 years back about all the Star Wars games I've played at that point, but I really wanted to dive in and talk about my 5 favorite Star Wars games because I just really like Star Wars and I want to really talk about it right now. But yeah, before I get into it, let me know your top 5 favorite Star Wars games if you disagree with my list. If you have another game I haven't played that's really good, because I have not played every Star Wars game, though I think I've played a good amount. Let me know, because I would love to know. And before I get into this, I will say that I'm only doing one game per series, so if there's like 2 sequels or whatever of a game that I think could be in this top 5, I'm only going to choose one of them, just so I can get a pretty varied list and show off more of my favorite Star Wars games. Half this list could be composed of like one type of Star Wars game if I didn't have this rule, and I just don't think that's a fun top 5. And starting at number 5, this may be a little weird for some people that it's that low, but I'm going to put Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now, I really like Fallen Order. I guess it's my first Souls-like game, definitely the first one I've beaten, but I didn't realize it was a Souls-like until after I beat it, but I did have a lot of fun with it. And I don't think it's as difficult as, say, Dark Souls or even Elden Ring, but I still found it pretty challenging. Now, I don't generally love Souls-like games. I would much prefer it to be more like a Ninja Gaiden game or something where you're much faster, especially for a Star Wars game. I think a Ninja Gaiden-like would be really cool. But Fallen Order, I think I had a fun combat system. The bosses I thought were both difficult yet fun to fight. And I love the world and all that stuff, and like the setting. I thought looked really cool, all the different planets. The time period of Star Wars was really cool. I feel like this was like right before I feel like we were getting too much in that era between episode 3 and episode 4, where it's just like, oh, everything's getting packed in here. I thought it was really cool. Cal Kestis is such a cool character, and I love his journey through this game especially. How he like grows and you can see his past and like Order 66. And again, this was before I feel like Order 66 got too much of it shown off in different media like shows. I feel like it was really cool, and this was a really cool perspective to see Order 66 from. But to play it from Cal's perspective, I thought was really cool. I also love the other characters in this game. Marin I thought was really cool. And it's kind of funny because I did go to Dathomir first. So I saw her first, and then you eventually have to go back there. She was like a highlight for me in the game, and I really like her. And I really like Sierra as like the master. But I liked her there, and I especially liked her with Trilla. And Trilla is just... she's honestly one of my favorite Star Wars characters, especially like in this game. I think she looks really cool. And her story is really cool, and I wish we got more of her. I would love to see her get like her own game or something, if it's like a prequel or whatever. Her design with her helmet I think is just really cool. But if you haven't played it, please play it. It's really fun. Don't play it on an Xbox One. Kashyyyk will not load properly. Oh, and I also think the clones look really cool. I wish we got to see more of them, or if this was like a game that took place during Revenge of the Sith, or like before that. I think that could have been really cool. But on to my 4th favorite Star Wars game, Star Wars Republic Commando. This is the game that made me want to get a PC in 2015, because it's so much fun. It's a Star Wars FPS. I know we've had a lot of Star Wars FPS in the past, but I feel like these days we don't get very many. And it's even more perfect because you're in probably the best era to do an FPS game like this by being in the Clone Wars, starting on Geonosis, and going through a couple missions as these clone commandos. I think it just works really well as a first-person shooter campaign because you have different droids to go against different like types of enemies. And Delta Squad, one of the best clone squads we've gotten in Star Wars. They are really cool, and I really do like them. I like that they all have different voice actors. They're not all Temuera Morrison. I think it helps give them a little bit more personality with their voice, and they all don't sound super similar. Like D. Bradley Baker can obviously do different clone voices to where you can kind of tell a difference, but I think it works really well in this game for them just to have different voice actors. Also, this is like a really underrated part of the game in my opinion, but I love the ammo and how they did it, and how like when you're reloading, I just love that animation for some reason. I think it's really cool. I love how we do get different areas. There aren't like a ton of different missions, but they all are pretty varied. Gameplay wise, I think it's really interesting how you can command your squad mates to do different things. Another game that did this not as well was Halo 5. Like, it had the same basic features, though I think since you can pick up any gun, it's not utilized as well as I think it is in this game. And yeah, this game has a lot of details that I just love, like the visor cleaning off the rain at the beginning of the game, Wookiees being huge, and just like the overall art style of the game, I just really love. Nowadays, I don't know if we'd get the same art style, and I really love this game. I made a whole video talking about how much I loved it last year, and part of the reason I wanted to make this video was because I am watching through Season 3 of The Bad Batch finally, and it makes me want another Republic Commando game. Whether it's a remake of this game, or if we finally get like an Imperial Commando or whatever, where it picks up after the story, where they can kind of like move some things around to make it be canon or whatever, I would just love another Republic Commando, or a game that is very similar. I think there's so much potential in this type of game for Star Wars. But on to number 3, a game that I don't think there's any surprises that's on here, Star Wars Battlefront II, the original one that came out in 2005. I think nowadays you can definitely make an argument for Star Wars Battlefront 2017, but I just don't think it reaches the heights of the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 for me. I loved it ever since I got it off of eBay, where I got the first and second game for the original Xbox, and this game just has so many fun memories for me, whether it's going through the campaign or just playing through Galactic Conquest. I just love this game so much. I love all the different classes you can do. I love how you can be clones, droids, Imperials, Rebels. I think it's really cool. And I wish we got a Star Wars Battlefront 3 where it expanded upon this even more, because we really haven't gotten another Star Wars game that's done space battles quite as well as this one. Boarding a ship, taking it out, I think is just so cool, and it's something I wish could have been expanded upon. The campaign. I know it's not canon, but it's so cool. Being able to play as a regular clone through the Clone Wars, even up until the beginning of Empire Strikes Back, is so cool. I love how you got to play through Order 66 as a clone, something I don't think has been done since, and I would love for another Star Wars game to do something similar like this. And I wish the Classic Collection that came out 2 years ago was like better at launch so we could have this game be big again. And now on to my second favorite Star Wars game, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1. I know a lot of people are probably expecting it to be Knights of the Old Republic 2, and I was able to finish that game earlier this year, and while I did really enjoy 2, I think 1's still my favorite. For 1 is a completed game. Knights of the Old Republic 2, especially towards the end, does not feel as great. But Knights of the Old Republic 1, I just think, might be one of the best games of all time. It basically created this whole new era of Star Wars, and the Old Republic is one of my favorite eras. You have so many Jedi, you have so many Sith, you have so many chances for a cool story that really isn't present within the Clone Wars or the prequels in general. Talking about like other BioWare games, every BioWare game I've played I've really enjoyed and loved. And with this being the earliest BioWare game I've played, there's always that little like worry that I won't enjoy this game, but I really loved KOTOR. The only real issue I had with it was the combat system. I would probably enjoy it if it was more actual turn-based instead of this like real-time turn-based. I'm not really a fan of that with pausing. Another reason I'm putting Knights of the Old Republic 1 above 2 is just because I love the cast of this game a lot. Bastila, Karth, Mission. I really love all those characters. And I love going through this game, and I've really been wanting to replay it. But yeah, I really like being a Jedi. I really like building your own lightsaber. You're able to like choose your own color of it, and I always choose yellow, even though I guess Bastila also has yellow. I really like Darth Malak. His like jaw mask thing I think is really cool, and I know he's not like as intimidating as say Darth Vader in his design, but I really like how simple it is. Overall, I think this is a great RPG, and if you haven't played this game, I'm really going to recommend it. Compared to 2, I really don't have like an issue with any parts of the story here. Overall, really great game. and I would love to see more games in this era. Give us KOTOR 3. I'd love that so much. But now we're on to my favorite Star Wars game, and if you've been following my channel for a while, this isn't going to be a surprise, but it's LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. And I know that this may be like a common take with Star Wars fans, and you may be like, oh, you're not any different from a lot of these other Star Wars fans that put it at the top, but LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, I think really helped me become a Star Wars fan. Without that game, I don't know if I would have been as big of a Star Wars fan as I am today. My life pretty much revolved around this game when I was a kid. Playing through it over and over again, playing through all the levels, trying to find all the mini kits, getting all the gold bricks, finding red bricks. Without this game, I don't know if Star Wars would have been as, coded in my DNA. I would think about it all the time. I would think about how cool Luke looked in his Jedi robes in Episode 6, or how clones couldn't be tricked that their helmets would just spin around. Stuff like this was just in my brain where I'd constantly think about it. Without this game, I really don't know if I'd ever be making this video. Because overall the gameplay is very simplistic. There's not really any cool combos you can do outside of speedrunning and stuff. But it's an amazing way to play through and relive the original saga. This would be a great game for more people to enjoy. It's up there with my favorite LEGO games. I think this is just an amazing LEGO game and an amazing Star Wars game. I think it helps that it can be enjoyed by everyone. But I want to say, when I think about this game, I generally think about the console versions. I originally played it on the Wii, but you're seeing footage from the 360 where I 100%ed it. But a big part of me loving this game also came from the Nintendo DS port. And while this is generally the same game, there's just a few levels that are cut, I still really love this version of the game. And again, it helps cement Star Wars in my life because on trips or on car rides, I could play this game. I could still enjoy this part of Star Wars whenever I wanted. LEGO Star Wars may not be my favorite Star Wars game if it didn't have the DS port, just because I wouldn't be able to play it as often. But overall, I do enjoy the console versions much more, but the DS port I think is very important for why this is my favorite Star Wars game. I wish they had Yoda on his little floating chair like they do in the first game, but that's an okay sacrifice for an amazing Star Wars game. In a game I'll truly cherish my whole life. Those are my top 5 favorite Star Wars games. But yeah, if you have any Star Wars games that you really love, if there's one I didn't talk about that you're surprised I didn't, let me know. There's a lot of Star Wars games I have not played. And yeah, I'd love to know what your favorite Star Wars games are. And with that, I hope you enjoy the video, have a good day, and goodbye.